Couple of weeks. Okay, so as we start our restorative practice for the third chakra, we're going to start with a mild inversion. And so, depending on your setup, and as you come into your setup, I was suggesting to light a candle, turn on some music. And then it's nice to have a couple of blocks or hard books or sort of firm pillows, a couple blankets or towels. If you have a yoga bolster, otherwise a couple bed pillows work just fine. And so the mild inversion can look like having your legs up the wall, having your legs up a couch or a chair, or even stacking up cushions and letting the legs go up there. So if you have like a couple of blocks or like a chair, a kitchen chair, anything, go ahead and bring that in. In the restorative tradition, sometimes we actually take the blocks to the highest setting and then put the bolster or a couple bolsters over, and then you can just bring the legs up and over. And so we basically want to have the feet over the head. And so it doesn't take a lot to get that, because that's going to start to flow everything down towards the belly, towards the pelvis. And so there's a couple reasons. I mean, I love this pose. I love legs up the wall. I love any form of a mild inversion because it's one of the fastest ways to shift our nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest, because going upside down is not really a position we do when we're being chased by a predator, which is what our nervous system was designed with in mind. And in terms of the third chakra, whenever we go upside down, we connect to the Agni Prana Mala dynamic. So fire in the yoga tradition is often discussed through Agni, through tapas, which is our heated action, our commitment, our devotion, sort of what we're heating and burning through. It's also talked about through in the chakra system, it is through the solar plexus, through the digestive organs. In the yin tradition, the fire element is in the heart. And so, fire is a lot. Fire is one of the primary elements. We would not have evolved or survived probably as a species if we didn't figure out how to be in relationship with fire. So the Agni is in the belly, the prana comes through the breath, and then Mala is the toxins, that undigested experience. So when we go upside down, we're basically kind of dumping the Mala onto the Agni. And when we breathe into it, we burn up. And so we now know that when we go upside down, we boost the immune system, we support our digestion, we help to just balance the body. So any kind of mild inversion is really beneficial for all the chakras. But we're starting with the third chakra focus in a mild inversion for that Agni stimulation. So taking your legs up the wall, up the chair, up the couch, stacking up cushions and taking your feet over. If you have any other inversion that you work with that you can hold for several minutes, then you're welcome to do that. And then I just really want you to settle into the breath. So settle into your mild inversion. And if it's available, maybe place your hands on your belly and just start to feel your breath moving into the belly. And so it's cloudy here, or it was, so I wasn't able to see the full moon, but we are still in the full moon phase. And so you might imagine that full moon above your head. And then in your belly, the fire element. And so because this is a fire full moon and we're initiating the fire element in the body, you can imagine as you inhale that you fill that fire up and you reach up to the full moon. And as you exhale, you draw that full moon down into the fire. And so we want to have a reciprocal relationship with the elements and also with the celestial energies as well. And so the fire element, when fire is healthy, it is energized, it is focused, it is sharp, it is transformative, it is courageous, it is confident, it is power, it is will. The Manipura means the shining jewel, and it is the right to act. When the fire chakra is out of balance, we either have no fire, right? So we're lethargic, we are full of shame, we have a hard time making decisions, taking actions. When it's imbalanced on the other side, we are aggressive, we are dominating, we move from ego. And for most of us, there's a combination, right? Like we have some qualities of a healthy solar plexus, we have some qualities of it over or under balance. Like most of us are not extreme, right? And so the idea is that we just want to bring awareness to these centers, and through the breath, through the shapes, through visualization, through sound, through color, the color is yellow, we start to bring balance, we start to bring clarity. The third chakra is us. It's the me, the my, the mind. So our root chakra is our connection to planet, ancestry, family of origin. The second chakra is the juicy intimacy of the one-on-one. But then third chakra is mine, my, I. And this is important to develop. We do want to develop our gut, our instinct, our right to act, our unique contribution to the world, but we want that to be in balance with what's below and what's above. And what's right above the solar plexus is the heart, right? So that love and compassion. So the third chakra is fed from the streams of the sacral chakra, from the healthy, emotional, intuitive, sensual awareness, and then that feeds into action. So if you think about it from a nature perspective, if we plant something in the earth, right, our root chakra, then we water it, we tend to it, and then it begins to sprout. And that sprouting action, that energy, it starts to reach for the light, because hopefully we've had enough earth and water, and then the sun can penetrate and it begins to reach up. And we start to see that green energy, that rooting out as we move into the heart. And this energy is symbolic of this time of year. Also, in the Northern Hemisphere, we are entering the midwinter. So this week is very potent with the fire full moon and moving into February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, where we get that midwinter quickening. And it's the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So tuning into your solar plexus, tuning into your belly, and even just with your breath, as we allow the blood flow to reverse and just feel into this part of your body, feel what is stirring in your belly. As you draw your attention, as you draw your breath in, we start to connect with Manipura. We start to connect with our own individual breath and power. And through the practice, I want to encourage you to maybe work with that visualization of the fire in your belly and the full moon above your head and the breath kind of weaving them together, moving through the body. The sense associated with the Manipura chakra is sight. So the third chakra is kind of our toddler, right? It's like that 3-year-old. They can walk now, they can start to talk now, right? Like mine. No. It's a lot of like 3-year-old energy. And so it's very much about feeling into what you want and getting what you want. So the sense is sight. So like a child, when they see something that they want, they just grab it. And if you watch a lot of, so if you think about our, again, sort of cave people ancestors, right? It was just like very instinctive. It was like, I want that, it's mine. And we still see that so much with people where they see something, they want it, they take it. They feel entitled to it. They feel privileged to it. And that is a natural reaction in the third chakra. And so we want to develop our vision and our sight and really have clarity, but we also want to be able to pause and respond. And again, consider the energies above and below before we just take what we want. So visualizing that full moon, that fire in your belly through this practice. Maybe later tonight doing some candle gazing, where you gaze at the flame of a candle till the eyes start to water. All beautiful ways to connect to the fire energy and purify the fire energy. So I'll give you a couple of moments. I do like to let you have space in restorative, but I kind of wanted to offer kind of those tidbits in this first pose. You can kind of let them, again, sort of infuse the practice as we move into our sequence. But for now, the last couple of moments in our mild inversion, just feeling into belly, into full moon, any sort of visualization or imagery you want to bring into your belly. And as long as you're breathing into your belly, like, you're connecting the third chakra. So conscious belly breath, and we'll just allow the sequence to bring clarity and purification and a little bit of appropriate full moon energy to the Manipura chakra. So a few more deep belly breaths here. Oh, and for those of you who struggle a little bit with the visual, the seed sound is Ram. So you could also inhale, exhale into the belly and hear that sound Ram, or even chant it a few times if the mind gets really scattered or distracted. This is your practice, your full moon, fire, restorative ritual. Just gather yourself here in the belly, letting go of the day and the week. And so you always are welcome to stay in the poses longer. Most of these poses can be practiced on their own for up to 10, 20, 30 minutes. But we are going to shift into a supine twist. So if you are legs up the wall, legs up the chair, you can bring the soles of the feet together and then bring the knees in. And if it's not too much of a hassle, I would love to recommend that you put blankets or pillows to the right and left of you. And then maybe have a pillow between the knees. If any of that's too much work or too far away, don't need to worry about it. But so I'm gonna draw my knees in. I'm gonna put a pillow between my knees. I've got my blankets outside of my hips. And then I'm gonna open my arms out to the sides, move my hips just a little bit to the left, and let my knees stack over to the right. So my knees are resting on the blanket. My feet are also resting on the blanket. The pillow's between them. And then my arms are out to the sides. I can also bend at my elbows or take the right hand to the left thigh. The head can roll towards the right, towards the sky, or to the left. So in restorative, we generally want support. And so this is a twist that is rinsing out the digestive organs, and the back helps to kind of release the back muscles. So this is a great twist for the Manipura chakra. So feel free to adjust, and you're always welcome to turn on your camera and unmute yourself if you have any questions, and I'll help you set up the pose for your body or for your space. It's always an option to have everything camera off, but then you can also turn it on if you want me to help you get set up. And once you're here, it might be a little bit more challenging to breathe. So just focus on the belly breath. And maybe that inhale, the belly fills, the energy moves up towards the crown and the full moon. As you exhale, the belly gently contracts. We pull that back down into low belly. Allowing the legs to be heavy and the shoulders soft. Soften your face, soften your eyes. This full moon is connected to the lion and also the wolf in the indigenous lunar calendar. And I was reading this article that was talking about how, like lions are known kind of like, how they can be pretty ferocious. They can be pretty powerful hunters. But if you've spent any time with cats, and I know a lot of you have cats probably on you right now, they sleep a lot. They rest a lot. They stretch a lot. And then when they're ready to pounce, they can get to it. So again, fire is not always meant to be going, 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 or it burns out. So that Agni, right, that Rajas kind of burns out. So there's something to be said about letting fire kind of simmer, letting it kind of settle and simmer so that when it needs to activate, it's ready. So we stay connected to our fire. We don't let it go out, but we're ready for it to kind of come up when needed. But as we know, a lot of us know, right, when fire gets out of control, it's pretty destructive. And then again, it can just completely go out. So that cycle of burnout, right? So honoring our lion symbolism and enjoying kind of the cat nap of restorative yoga. And take a deep belly breath in and sigh it out. And you're always welcome to sigh or purr or growl or whatever the body needs to do to kind of clear out that fire. And then we'll take our time and we'll come to the other side. So usually when we're twisting, we want to take a moment to be symmetrical, to bring the knees back to the chest and to kind of settle the sacrum and tailbone down. And you might linger there if you need to adjust anything. And then if you're doing this supine twist, we want to shift the hips a little bit right and then draw the knees up and over to the left. So I've still got my pillow between my knees. I've got my knees and my feet supported by the blanket. And then again, soft shoulders. And so this side of the neck might be more tight or more open. This is my tighter side of my neck. So I'm going to put a little bend in my elbows here too, which you can do. And so it might feel really different. So we are wringing out all of those digestive organs. So Manipura is the digestion function. It is the pancreas and the spleen. So the pancreas, I always really love the pancreas association with Manipura because pancreas is in charge of processing sweetness, right? So the third chakra, again, not just being about aggression or drive, it's also playfulness, romance, sweetness, right? And our ability to process and digest sweetness in an efficient way is interesting from a biological and psychological perspective. And so if you're twisting to the left, that is the side where the spleen and the pancreas and the stomach all are. So we're kind of wringing that out. And that's why usually we'll lay on the left side for digestion because all those organs are there. And that's also the way the intestines, colon move too, is right to left. We kind of open everything up by twisting to the right first, and then we twist to the left, and we get all that release through those organs. At least that's how I understand it. Let your eyeballs soften. So again, that sense of sight. Nothing to see, nothing to do. Let that relax in. And again, just maybe bring that inner vision into action. The full moon over the head, fire in the belly. Deep belly breath. And fire and air are considered masculine elements because they move energy out a lot of the time. So it has nothing to do with gender identification. And I've mentioned this with the chakras. Because we all, regardless of how we identify in our body, we all have masculine and feminine channels and energies, and also energies that are neither, that are both, that are fluid. The crown chakra is connected to, you know, there's no masculine or feminine, it's the unity of that. Beyond it, the merging. Last few breaths here. Inhale through the nose. Open mouth. And then if it's okay for you, we'll roll to the left side into that lunar side fetal pose. Pose of digestion, rebirth. And take your time. You can stay here a bit longer, or if and when you're ready, you can push yourself up. So we're going to take a supported side bend. So I'm going to give you a few options. It can be really nice if you have a bolster to turn wide. If you don't, you can take a couple blankets or towels, and from sort of this rectangle, you would fold it in half. So it's like a long rectangle. And like 2 blankets or like thick towels stacked on top of each other is about the height and width of the bolster. Okay, so a couple stacked blankets, any kind of pillow that has like a rectangle shape. And then I would recommend having a couple blocks or pillows as well. So I'm going to show with my bolster, and I'm going to take one block, probably about 6 inches in front on the flat spot, and then another one out at the tower. And I'm sitting up against my bolster with my right thigh forward. So my right thigh is up against the bolster. And now the knees can stack. You can even do the same thing we just did in the twist and put your pillow between your knees. If you want a little more, rest the right foot on the left thigh. And so the right arm will come down between the block and the bolster or blankets. You want to kind of lift up and open. And then right ear to your pillow or block or whatever you have there. Now the left hand can stay pressing into the bolster. It can also come behind the back. And you're going to start to feel the side body. If you want a little more, left arm reaches up. And this is where maybe that other block, or if your bed or chairs nearby, you could also grab that. So this is, you know, something to play with here. And again, you can stack the knees. Some people even like to extend the legs and have the legs stacked. And if you don't have blocks, another thing you can do as well is, as you lie over the bolster or blankets, you can reach that right arm straight forward and rest the right ear on it. And then you can play with the left arm up and over or to the hip. And some people even like to kind of roll open towards the left here. And you can kind of like play. So there is that quality of creativity. This is not one of our more common restorative poses because it is kind of Can be a little weird to find that relaxation position. But the side body is one of the parts of the third chakra that we don't always pay attention to. For a lot of people, third chakra is abdominals and a core and fire, but opening and lengthening the side body is one of my favorite postures, because it does open the belly, it opens the heart, it brings that length. So if you've ever watched flames dance, the way they kind of like lift up and out, and they have that beautiful sort of fluidity to them, right? So healthy fire. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know, or if you have your own variation of this, you're welcome to take it. Stay with the belly breath. Try to relax the shoulders and the face. We definitely don't want any pain in the neck. So we don't not want the neck like kind of hanging or tensing up. Relax the shoulders, soften the jaw. Shining that solar plexus towards the fire, full moon. And this can also be a nice release for that bottom shoulder sometimes, depending on your tightness. Inhale. Exhale. Take your time. If you were kind of open into that left side, you want to kind of roll yourself kind of towards a fetal pose right on that right side. Then we'll lift ourselves up. And so you can come right into side two. If you want, we can take about a minute or two child's pose between sides. Or if you would like some movement, some cat cow. I was calling that wolf and lion in my earlier class for the wolf moon, the lion moon, or any other stretching. Sometimes it can be nice between the side bends. But otherwise, you can just come into child's pose over your blanket or your bolster. We'll just give ourselves a moment, just like on our back between sides of the twist, where we would hug the knees in. So finding that symmetry before we return to asymmetry. And fire, does like movement. So just listen to your body, whatever feels right. Over the next few breaths, I'll invite you to make your way to side two. So that left thigh will come forward, knees stacked, maybe the pillow between them or right leg behind, or then you might just extend the legs down. You can place your blocks or pillows or just extend the left arm. Try to draw that left shoulder down. Make sure the left ear is comfortable. And then maybe right arm up and overhead, behind the back, resting on the thigh or on the bolster. Just finding the second side for this pose. Relax the shoulders and the face. Breathe into the side body, into that solar plexus. Just staying with your breath. Full moon, fire breath. Or maybe you hear that purr of Ram reverberating through your belly, through your system. And we all have a different relationship with the chakras, with each chakra, with each element based on, again, the time of day, time of year, the time in our body, our organic constitution that we were born with. And that to me is one of the reasons I love the chakra system so much, is that because we all have different relationships, but we can always come into a sattvic relationship with the chakra, which is one of the goals of yoga and Ayurveda, is to have this healthy balance. It's that homeostasis. We want that fire energy to support our digestion, our metabolism, our circulation, our immune system. We want it to help us to be clear and precise and focused and sharp. And then we also want that creativity and playfulness and energy. And so allowing space and breath, spending time with this element, with this energy center. Take another big, big breath into the side body. And then sigh it out. And so again, depending on your setup, if you were kind of rolling open a bit more, you can just roll more into a fetal pose. And then we're going to take a heart opener. So if you have like your blocks, pillows, bolster, blankets set up, leave those. But we'll sit up, and I'm going to turn now so that my back is up against the bolster. So again, this can be the bolster, this can be any rectangle pillow or a couple blankets or towels, but I want to roll back so that my head and shoulders come down. So my block is still here. So my block is now flat and it's catching the back of my skull. And my shoulders are rolling down. So if you have an open upper spine, you can even move that and have the head down. If that's too much for your neck, then make sure the block or another blanket's there. But if you notice, I now have my solar plexus stretching essentially across the bolster or the blankets. So the knees can knock together. You can extend the legs long. If you want, you can do a bound angle, a Supta Baddha Konasana here, but if so, I would love for you to put something under your thighs. So coming into this, a little bit of a deeper heart opener, but this is very much a good stretch for the solar plexus. So often we create rigidity in the abdominal muscles, right? Like we want these really tight, compact muscles, but that doesn't actually create greater strength or health. So we really want to stretch through the belly And then that allows the heart to open because again, that fire feeds into the heart. So again, if you're not sure or if you're uncomfortable, you can let me know and I can offer a suggestion. But otherwise, this is called fish pose in traditional Hatha Yoga Asana, but we're doing it with support. So a supported fish pose, Matsyasana. And if it gets to be too much, you're always welcome to just roll to that left side, back into that digestive moon side. And just stay with that belly breath. It's always towards the end of restorative that my son starts having a hard time being quiet, which is kind of like the worst time for him to start doing that. He's so quiet during my moon class where we're flowing. Maybe I should reverse that. Maybe I should do the moon class at 5 or the restorative class at 5 and the moon flow at 6:30. No, I don't think I would like to do that energetically, but right, balancing our fires. So just make sure your face is soft, relax your shoulders down, soft jaw, inner vision, open belly. So good to stretch those muscles. And that is, again, a cultural thing, right? There's this sort of idealized idea around like these muscular abdominals. But again, from a functional perspective, it's not really that functional. You know, we want health through the abdominals. We want, again, healthy digestion and movement. We want to be flexible as well as strong. So again, if you look at fire, it's not rigid. It's, again, it's fed from the streams of the sacrum. There's a fluidity to it. It dances, it moves, it's hypnotic, it changes form. I love watching fire. I love candle gazing. I can just get lost in a bonfire like all night, just watching it from the first flickers as the wood catches flame to the last embers, right? Transformation, alchemy, all those powerful words, right? Whatever you put into fire is changed. You know, one way or the other, it's changed. Stay with your breath. If it gets to be too much, you can always, roll to one side or flip the bolster or the blankets around so you're laying over it with the head at the same level as the heart so that the head's not back. And if the low back pulls at all, then make sure the knees are bent. Deep belly breath in. Open mouth. Let it go. And if the legs are in any other position, you can bend the knees. And then once again, roll to the left side or whatever side makes more sense. We're going to do one more sort of belly stretching kind of pose. We're going to come into a supported sphinx. So when you're ready, you'll lift up. And if we're still working with the bolster or the blankets, I want you to have the bolster, the blankets, and or a blocker pillow, but we're gonna flip it so it's long. And then for Sphinx, we get on the belly. So the feet are hip width distance, the pelvis is down. And then that bolster or that stack of blankets comes under your ribs. So it's right at the ribs. So you can feel the opening. It's not pressing directly into the belly, but it's at the ribs. And then I like to take a block on top of that and place the forehead down. So we're on the forearms, tops of the feet down, feet hip width distance apart. We have the bolster or stack of blankets under the ribs and something under the head, but we don't want to round through the upper back. So if that cat movement is in the upper back, draw your shoulders down and maybe lift that support under your head, or like stack like a washcloth or something on it. So you can have that forehead down, just not rounding up. And Sphinx has been one of my favorite poses during pandemic because we're just always at the computer, where I am anyway, a lot more than I used to be. And so this is a great pose to open up the chest. And it's really wonderful to start to move that third chakra energy up into the fourth chakra. So to create that gateway to the heart. And again, we're opening up the solar plexus. We are stretching out the organ body. We are strengthening the back body. And again, if this gets to be too much, you can come into child's pose. And then I also have my palms up. So usually in Sphinx, the palms are down, right? We're on the forearm, but I like to turn them up. So once again, just be mindful of your alignment. So if you can have your palms up without your hands splaying out to the sides and without rounding the upper spine, it can feel really nice. And just find those big belly breaths. Deep breath in and side out. When you're ready, we will come back into a child's pose, or if, like I said as before, if you want to do some cat-cow or any kind of movement, or just check in, is there anything else that would feel good for the body? We are going to head into final relaxation in the next couple of minutes. So child's pose can release the back and kind of bring everything, kind of back to center. Or like I said, movement, stretching. Feel that fire in the belly. What does it want to do? Does it need to simmer? Does it need to move? And so I kept pretty much my exact same setup for Sphinx. My bolster and block, and I've got my bolster between the thighs now and my head on the block again. But it feels different in our child's pose versus in our Sphinx. then when you're ready, we'll move into final relaxation. So you can come into traditional Shavasana, which is lying on the back. I recommend a blanket under the head and a bolster under the knees. You can also cover the body or put a pillow or blanket over your belly. If you have another version you like, if you want to do a Supta Baddha Konasana, I know we didn't do sort of our traditional one tonight, or whatever feels good. You could do a fetal pose, a side lying pose. Just let yourself settle and take up space. Do any wiggling, shifting. Make sure you're nice and warm. And you can imagine, again, that you're lying out under that fire, full moon, maybe near a bonfire or something warm. Maybe you're somewhere warmer. And just feel that fire in your belly feeding up into that full moon, and the full moon feeding back into that fire. First full moon of the year. The fire full moon that moves us towards the initiation point of the exact midway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox in the next few days. So that portal of midwinter, the stirring, the quickening, the simmering. Let yourself be held, rocked by the warm flames of the Manipura Chakra. Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo Namo. Pritham Bhavati, Pritham Bhavati, Pritham Bhavati, Namo Namo. Kundalini Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo Namo. Pritham Bhavati, Pritham Bhavati, Pritham Bhavati, Namo Namo. Kundalini Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Adi Shakti, Namo Namo. Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti, Namo Namo. Pritham Bhavati, Pritham Bhavati, Pritham Bhavati, Namo Namo. Kundalini Mata Shakti, Mata Shakti, Namo Namo. Namo Namo. Namo Namo. Namo Namo. Feel the life force stirring in your belly. Maybe you can imagine the flames, the flicker, the spark. Fed from both the streams of our sacral chakra on that fiery first full moon of the year. As that light and heat builds, the idea is that we start to shoot that energy up into the heart. But as we move through the last day of this full moon and into the next few days, that is the portal of the midwinter. We allow the warmth, the heat to transform us, to awaken us, to energize and clarify us. Honor yourself for choosing to spend time under this full moon, in this restorative ritual. It can be nice afterwards to do some candle gazing or fire gazing, or take a warm shower or bath, or put on some music and dance a little bit. Or if you're able to sit out under the moon, of course, howl and purr and growl. I honor you for sharing this time with me. Start to deepen the breath. And maybe that begins to quicken movements through the body. You can start to wiggle your fingers and toes and shift and move. You can roll to one side, or again, find that stretching and opening, maybe rocking and rolling. And then if you like, you can find a seat. And you can sit just resting your hands at your solar plexus. You can also make a upside down triangle with your thumbs touching and your index fingers, and then place that kind of like, so it's framing your belly button. So your thumbs are kind of just below your ribs. Kind of obviously depends on your torso, but feeling that yantra energy of the solar plexus. The Manipura yantra is a lotus. They're all lotus eyes, with a golden yellow circle with 10 orange petals around and inside an inverted red triangle with the Ram seed in it. So as we're holding our inverted triangle at our solar plexus, we'll close with the sound of Ram. You can just listen or hum or take a deep breath in. And I bow to you. Full moon blessings. Thank you for sharing the practice, and I hope to see you soon. Namaste.